Chanukah Sameach, everyone. I am so excited to read you a story for this night of Hanukkah. Today we are going to read The Parakeet Named Dreidel by Isaac Bashevis Singer, pictures by Suzanne Raphael Berkson. Isaac Bashevis Singer, for those of you who don't know, is a very famous storyteller, and I love his stories. And I chose this book because I love birds. I have a parakeet at home named Maggie. Here we go. The Parakeet Named Dreidel. It happened about 10 years ago in Brooklyn. All day long, a heavy snow is falling. Toward evening, the sky cleared and a few stars appeared. A frost set in. It was the 8th day of Hanukkah, and my silver Hanukkah lamp stood on the windowsill with all candles burning. It was mirrored in the window pane, and I imagined another lamp outside. Look how it's glowing. My wife, Esther, was frying potato pancakes. I sat with my son David at a table and played dreidel with him. Suddenly, David cried out, "Papa, look, look!" And he pointed to the window. I looked up and I saw something that was unbelievable. I can tell now who's telling the story. It's the papa. It's this boy's Abba. Outside on the windowsill stood a yellow-green bird watching the candles. In a moment, I understood what had happened. A parakeet had come from somewhere. He flew out from the street and landed on our windowsill. Maybe he was attracted to the light. See if you can find the parakeet. Where is he? Where's the parakeet? Ah, there he is. A green and yellow little bird. How cute. A parakeet is native to a warm climate. That means they live in warm temperatures. And it cannot stand the cold and frost for very long. I immediately took steps to save the bird from freezing. I carried away the Hanukkah lamp so the bird would not get hurt when he came through the window. When I opened the window, with a quick wave of my hand, I shooed the parakeet inside. It only took a few seconds. And look, it looks like the parakeet's very excited to come inside. I wonder why. In the beginning, the bird flew from wall to wall and bumped into the ceiling and then the prism of the chandelier. David tried to calm it. "Don't be afraid, little bird. We're your friends." Then the bird flew toward David and landed on his head, as though it had been trained and was used to people. David began to dance and laugh with joy. How funny. My bird does that too. My wife in the kitchen heard the noise and came out to see what happened. When she saw the bird on David's head, she asked, "Where did a bird come from all of a sudden?" "Mama, it just came to our window." "To the window in the middle of the winter?" There's that birdie. Everybody's so surprised. The bird was not afraid of us. David lifted his hand to his forehead, and the bird settled on his finger. Esther placed a saucer of millet, like seeds, and a dish of water on the table, and the parakeet ate and drank. It saw the dreidel, and it began to push it with its beak. David shouted, "Look, the bird plays dreidel." You might be wondering, how could a bird play dreidel? I have to tell you, my bird Maggie plays with chess pieces, with games, any little toys we put out. Birds love to play. David soon began to talk about buying a cage for the bird and about giving it a name. But Esther and I reminded him that the bird was not ours. We would try to find the bird's family. They're probably missing the bird right now and worried about what happened. David said, "Meanwhile, let's call the bird." What do you think they're going to call the bird? Think about it for a minute. Could they call the bird Hanukkah? Or maybe Chanukiah? Or maybe Latka? Ooh, that would be a cute name for a bird. Well, guess what David picked? He said, let's call the bird Dreidel. Maybe because this bird likes to play dreidel. That night, Dreidel slept on a picture frame and woke us in the morning with singing. The bird stood on the frame with its feathers brilliant in the purple light of the rising sun, shaking us in prayer, whistling, twittering, and talking all at the same time. Dreidel must have belonged to a house, to a family, where Yiddish was spoken, because we heard it say, Zeldala geschlafen. Zeldala, go to sleep. And these simple words, spoken by a tiny creature, filled us with wonder and delight. I'm thinking a lot about my birdie. My birdie says Shabbat Shalom. The next day, I posted a notice in the elevators of the neighborhood. It said that we found a Yiddish-speaking parakeet. When a few days passed and no one called, I advertised in the newspaper, but a week went by and no one claimed the bird. Only then did Dreidel become part of our family. We bought a large cage with all the fittings, toys and a water dish and a food dish, all the things a bird could want. But because Hanukkah is a festival of freedom, we decided never to make the bird stay in the bird cage. Dreidel was free to fly around the whole house whenever he pleased. And the man at the pet shop told us that the bird was a boy. It looks like maybe Dreidel goes in to sleep at night, maybe, or to eat and drink. But the rest of the day, sounds like Dreidel's playing. 9 years passed and Dreidel remained with us. We became more attached to him from day to day. Wow, look at some of the things that they get to do with Dreidel. Dreidel likes to take his own bath. Dreidel is posing for a painting. We know birds love music, and here I see that Dreidel is sitting at the end of the bow for a violin. Maybe Dreidel likes to play baseball. Here Dreidel's just hanging out on the shoulder. Davening. Oh, it looks like David is being measured and Dreidel is helping to measure him. Dreidel likes to play chess just like my Maggie. And it looks like Dreidel was celebrating with the family when David graduates from school. In our house, Dreidel learned scores of Yiddish, English, and Hebrew words. David taught him to sing a Hanukkah song, and there was always a wooden dreidel in the cage for him to play with. When I wrote on my Yiddish typewriter, Dreidel would cling to the index finger of either my right or my left hand, jumping with every letter I wrote. Esther often joked that Dreidel was helping me write and that he was entitled to half my earnings. That's so silly. Our son David grew up and entered college. One night, he went to a Hanukkah party. He told us that he would be home late, and Esther and I went to bed early. We had just fallen asleep when the telephone rang. Bring, bring! It was David. As a rule, he is quiet and composed. This time, he spoke so excitedly, we could barely understand what he was saying. It seemed that David had told the story of our parakeet to the other people at the party, and a girl named Zelda Rosen had found out that this parakeet was hers. I am Zeldala, and we lost our parakeet 9 years ago. Zelda and her parents lived not so far from us, but they had never seen the notice in the newspaper or the posters we put around in elevators. Zelda was now a student in college and a friend of our son David's. She never visited us before, although our son had spoken about her. Wow, what a coincidence. Oh, I'm thinking, what's going to happen? Zelda's family will be very happy to see Dreidel. But will Dreidel stay with David's family or Zelda's family? We slept little that night. The next day, Zelda and her parents came to see their long-lost Dreidel. Zelda was very excited. David often took her to the theater and to museums. They were friends. Not only did the Rosens recognize their bird, but the bird seemed to recognize them. The Rosens used to call him Tsip Tsip. You know, Tsippy means bird in Hebrew. And when the parakeet heard them say Tsip Tsip, he became flustered and started to fly from every member of the family to the next, screeching and flapping his wings. Both Zelda and her mother cried when they saw their beloved birdie. And the father stared silently and said, "We never forgot our special Tsip Tsip." There's Dreidel flying towards Zelda. Look at their faces. Look how they feel. I see smiles and excitement. Wow, they must be so happy to see Dreidel or Tsip Tsip. I was ready to return the parakeet to the family, but Esther and David decided that we could never part with Dreidel. It was also not necessary because that day, David and Zelda decided to get married after graduation. So Dreidel is still with us, always eager to learn new words and new games. When David and Zelda marry, they're going to take Dreidel to their new home. Zelda has often said, Dreidel was our matchmaker. It looks like they're imagining their wedding and imagining taking Dreidel with them to live in their new home. On Hanukkah, Dreidel always gets a gift: a mirror, a ladder, a swing, a bathtub, or a bell. Dreidel has even developed a taste for potato pancakes for latkes, as befits a parakeet named Dreidel. The end. I hope that you enjoyed this really fun story about Dreidel. I know I did. Hanukkah Sameach, everybody.